Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Faith and Finance Forum, presented by Catholic Finance Association and hosted generously by Aquinas Wealth Advisors. And we took a little bit of a break here in the summer, time for family, time to get a little relaxation in, but we're back with a great episode today. We have our good friend Chad Summe, the founding partner of EGateway Capital, based in metropolitan Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. How are you today, Chad? Good to see you.
Doing great, John. Thanks for having me.
Well, this is awesome. Let's start with a prayer, shall we? Father, Son, Holy Ghost, amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy
Holy
Mary,
Mary.
Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Pope Saint Gregory the Great, pray for us. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, amen. Pope Saint Gregory the Great's feast day today on September 3rd, Doctor of the Church, very important saint within the church. So, Chad, so delighted to be with you. You and I got to meet earlier this year and really hit it off. I just enjoyed our first conversation and definitely wanted to share some of your story and what you're working on with the members of the Faith and Finance Forum tribe. Coming to us from Northern Kentucky, metropolitan Cincinnati, and I believe that's your hometown, right? That's where you were born and raised. Do I have that right?
Hometown. I was
Love it.
youngest of 10 children, so a big family from Northern Kentucky.
The youngest of 10 children. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, what was it like being the youngest of 10 children? That's pretty unique.
Everything that you would expect and more. There's a feral nature of being the last out of 10 that you better raise yourself. But no, and all joking aside, I had great, my parents were wonderful people, incredible people in so many ways, and just created a loving household where we all flourish. So we're blessed. Most of my family remains in this area, which is a wonderful base to be back. I returned after a decade away. I have raised my family here and really enjoyed every minute of it.
Oh, I love that. And your family story in this region, does it go back a long time? And we talk about like great grandparents, great grandparents. What's the long term
Yeah, great
story you got?
grandparents, maybe great
Wow.
late 1800s. I think immigration, and some of my siblings who are more into the heritage and the timeline may critique me on this, but yeah, all German immigrants on both my parents, on both sides, my mom and dad, German immigrants, which is actually a common narrative here in the greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky region.
Oh, that's
Um,
very interesting.
it came over in the 1800s.
Is the big family thing a family tradition too, or are you guys kind of anomaly in that sense?
No, it's a tradition. There's
I
a
love
lot of Summies in Northern Kentucky and the greater Cincinnati area. I think my dad was the youngest of seven boys. And I think they all had big families. I think well over 50 grandchildren. I was the last. I may be the 52nd. I may
it.
be
Wow.
getting that wrong, but big families.
Wow.
And my parents, they're both deceased. We lost them over the last 5 years. But my mom had 40 grandchildren.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Wow. Amazing. So being the youngest of 10, I'm just curious. I mean, like, did you feel like you kind of had to like you had something to prove? Did you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, or how'd that go?
No, there's always that.
Yeah.
You have to be a survivor at the
Yeah.
youngest of 10. I think my siblings would always say the opposite, that I was given more than the rest. So there's always a
Yeah.
tale of two cities, so to speak, on the narrative around the last one. But, it was nothing but an unbelievable, joyful experience. I always felt like I won the lottery growing
Yeah.
up, and today, really, and being in that last 10 slot, you really have a purview. My oldest sister was 18 years older than me.
Wow.
And so you always have a purview kind of the future.
Mm.
And so you can kind of lead your life, I guess, with a little bit more wisdom of being in the rear view of just watching 20 years out in front of you of all the different things that come, with the decade or almost two ahead of you.
Yeah.
And I always found that to be invaluable, quite frankly, and continue to do so today with
Amen.
navigating some of those challenges.
I love that. And sadly, you lost a sibling this summer, I know, and that was your
I
sister.
did.
Yeah.
I did. You catch me. We're grieving.
Mm.
My older sister was tragically left us,
Mm.
and she was special. She was a gem, and we were the bookends of the family, and it's a hard, it's definitely a sting, but she was an incredibly faith-filled person that was in a great season of life on every journey. But we appreciate your prayers and all the audience's prayers for her husband and her four children.
Could you please share her name if you don't mind?
Yeah, her name was Krista.
We'll pray for Krista, yes. And she lives
Thank
on
you.
in you. Her
That
best
means the
qualities live
world to
on in you,
us.
kid. Yeah.
Thank
And you'll
you.
see her again one day.
We will. She was thrilled. I know she is thrilled to be with my mom and dad. She went down, she spent a lot of time at their grave sites
Mm,
representing all of us and
mm.
telling us when she was there, and she was there 4 o'clock on the day she passed. Unexpectedly, not knowing it would be her last time to see them, but we know she's rejoicing with them.
Wow, I love that. Has faith always been a big part of your life, Chad?
Faith has always been a big part of my life, for
Yeah.
sure. We were raised in a faith-filled family. Uniquely, I mean, everybody's story is a little bit different. My dad was he was a holy guy. He's just a quiet man. He was a politician, so it doesn't really go with the profession, but he was a
Yeah.
very rare breed. And then my mom was just, as you can expect with anybody that would choose to go on the journey of raising 10 children, had a ton of energy. And her special gift was charisma with joy.
Yeah.
She just brought a lot of joy. So we had a unique balance of kind of head in heaven, feet on the ground,
Yeah.
which I think left us all in a good shape. And my brother is a priest,
Wow.
and so having his vocation in our family has meant a lot to all of us,
Yes.
especially with my parents being gone.
Wow. Wow. I love that. So, you got a brother who's a priest. Tell us about what some of your other siblings ended up doing professionally. We're gonna get into your story in a second.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
A couple of my sisters were skilled in the arts,
Wow.
graphic design and such. Um, Actually, my brother as well. So that gene goes through the family. I can't draw a stick person,
Yeah.
but um, we have a patent attorney, a CPA. Um, we have a couple teachers, a vice principal and a kindergarten teacher. Um, and yeah, everything in between. Some of my siblings married doctors and different professions. So we always joke with a family of 10, you're kind of self-containing. You got all the professions marked
Yeah.
off.
No, that's awesome. That's a great benefit. You're right. Wow. And you personally, Chad, how did you spend your time when you were a young boy, young man? Like, were you into sports? Were you into like student clubs? Like, what was your thing when you were growing up?
Yeah, just an all around
Mm,
good childhood, good memories.
yeah.
We lived in a great neighborhood, running around, played all sports.
Mm,
The only requirement being the one of 10 is you had to get there on your own. And
yeah. Yeah.
so, yeah, went to high school and played football amongst other activities. And
Nice.
yeah, just overall wonderful childhood.
Very cool. Catholic schools, or what was your setup?
Yeah, Catholic schools.
Cool.
Went to a school that all 10 of us went to that was walking distance from our home. So
Wow.
really a great setup. And then our high school went to an all boys high school that which was right across the street from the all girls that my four sisters attended.
Oh man, I love it. That's great. That was good strategic planning on your parents' part too, to pick the
Yeah,
house close to the school, you know what I mean? Like,
that was. I don't know if it was purposeful, but it ended up being providential for sure.
oh, I love it. I love it. So then after this very positive childhood experience you described, family, sports, Catholic school preparation, formation, you accepted a commission in the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis. Tell us a little bit about your call to serve in the Navy.
Yeah, for sure. It was something unique. I wanted to go. I was exposed in the second grade, so very young. My brother was co-oping up in Washington, D.C., and made our way up to Annapolis. And I think my other brother had a friend on the football team, and so we made our way to a football game. And for whatever reason, it seeded to me that was something I desired to do. And so it became a really a clean, concrete objective of my childhood is to go to the Naval Academy, and I was blessed to have the opportunity to do so.
That's amazing. And some of us have heard about the strenuous process for applying to the Naval Academy. It's not just like, filling out the application at the University of Kentucky or something. It's a little bit more involved than that, right?
It is. And I joke, John, that I have the pleasure and the honor of serving often on our congressional appointment board,
Nice.
getting an appointment. And every year I underline the point that I would have absolutely no chance of getting in today because the credentials are just so amazing. These kids are just so impressive of the
Wow.
time and the talent and the desire to serve our great nation.
Wow. Amen. I love that. So you're at the Naval Academy with, like you said, the best of the best, people that are, smart and patriotic and want to do big things. What was it like, at the Naval Academy for you?
It was probably everything your listeners would imagine. It was different than college.
Yeah.
You have to absorb that and want it and desire that. But um, it was great. It was outside of all the discipline that you would expect from a military academy that kind of goes along with it, and all the extracurricular activities that are demanded. It was really one of those formative experiences of life where you really get to meet great friendships and forge great friendships and common experience that last a lifetime. So that's the biggest memory for me is just the great friends that I made. And the opportunity to kind of have a unique experience and be propelled upon graduation out into high stakes environment that usually a 22-year-old isn't. And so, looking back, I'm just more grateful than ever as I get further from it that it was not just unique, but formative in my life.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you ended up on a submarine. Was that your ambition from the beginning, or did you kind of discover that when you were at the academy?
It was not. I mean, I would like to say I knew what I wanted to do at the academy, but I was more on the other end of wanting to go to the academy so bad, not looking so much into once I got there, what did I wanted to do?
Hmm.
And so I thought I wanted to fly. So I did a lot of my summer cruises are oriented towards wherever you want to go upon graduation and what service selection. And I chose to do several with aviation. And it became clear to me that I did not have what it took to be a great aviator. I didn't have the passion that so many that go aviation do. And that was clear. And that's what those experiences are meant for, is just to give you clarity. And after not choosing, I kind of went the other opposite of going through what I did not want to do. And I made the decision to go under the water in the nuclear Navy, which was a great experience.
Wow, man, I love that. And you ended up on a fast attack submarine, right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, SSN 754, the mighty USS Topeka. I
Oh
had the
man.
honor and privilege of serving on with an incredible captain
Yeah.
and a great crew.
All right, so set the table for us a little bit on the fast attack submarine. Like, how many sailors and officers are on it? Like, how big's the boat? Like just give us the lay of the land, I guess.
Yeah, I'll get all these kind of wrong. It's all becoming a blur so long ago, but
Yeah.
there's right around at the time. Now there's men and women on submarines, but at the time it was just men, and so there was around 130 plus of us on any one time when we weren't on mission, and that number would swell up because you would take different people on board when you would go out to sea for long periods of time. But it's tight quarters nonetheless. And so you spend a lot of time underwater. I think in 2004, I added up all the time and I think I was underwater 7 or 8 months.
Wow.
Um, so you're out to sea for weeks at a time. It could be a couple days at a time. Or if you go on a cruise, it could be 6 months plus at a time.
Wow.
So it really depends on the boat, on the ship, and what the mission is. But as I suggested, I was really blessed to have a great crew and a great captain that I'll never forget. Just learned a lot of things on my years on the USS Topeka.
Oh, I love it. And how many 6 month plus cruises did you go on?
Just one,
Okay.
just one. Yeah,
Yeah. I
did
mean,
one
were you
cruise.
underwater the whole time or most of the time or?
No, you're always limited by food.
Yeah, yeah.
For anybody listening, that's kind of the limiting factor of a submarine
Okay.
is it come up and um, for your supplies. food
Yeah.
supplies are generally the limiting factor. Otherwise, a nuclear reactor, you're being propelled by nuclear propulsion, so you can stay under for 30 years,
Wow.
theoretically.
And what was the mission of your ship? Like, what did you spend most of your time on?
Yeah, so there's at the time there were two types of submarines. One were the Ohio class, which is really all around nuclear deterrence. So
Mm,
they carry our nuclear missiles. We on the fast attack submarines mission is really more around reconnaissance,
mm,
as you can imagine, and so doing a little more nimble action of going out to sea versus the deterrent actions of the Ohio class.
mm,
So it's a great environment to learn in a high stakes environment to learn how to lead um, and how to really become subconsciously running, learning so much where you can kind of act without thinking was some memories of my experience on a submarine.
And you mentioned me too in our first conversation that you were able to do basically every job on the boat, right? From stem to stern. I mean, like you started in the back of the boat, and I think you said you worked your way forward, but you did like every job on the submarine, right?
Yeah, not every job, but officers tend in the US Navy, unlike the British, which go down singular tracks. If you're going
Yeah.
to be a navigator, you stay a navigator. In the US Navy, we have the great fortune of going through nuclear power school where you
Mm,
learn all kind of the theory around nuclear engineering. And then you have practicums where you actually get qualified on a nuclear propulsion plant. And then you make your way to the submarine and generally start in the back of the engine room,
mm,
uh, walking around the engine room and then ultimately qualifying, running the nuclear plant. And then upon doing that and getting your qualifications in the back of the engine room, you work your way up front for all the different tracks, sonar and navigation to learn how to drive the ship most effectively. So ultimately, you end up driving the ship.
and I think you qualified as like the chief engineer or like senior engineer or whatever, right? Like, I mean, you.
I was an assistant engineer.
Okay.
I
Okay.
only did my time in service, so I only made it to lieutenant. But
Okay.
I had a junior officer tour, but I had a great experience both in the back and the front, doing
Yeah. No, that's
amazing
cool. Yeah.
amazing opportunities around the world.
Yeah. And I mean, your major at the academy was econ, right?
Economics, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
We call those group three majors. So the group one was
Yeah.
engineers, and usually most people that are crazy enough to go submarines come from group one at the Naval
Yeah.
Academy. I was one of the rare, not often, but group three majors. But economics is what I studied.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. I mean, like, because you have the economics degree from the United States Naval Academy, and then you go and you qualify as an engineer on a submarine. You know, very different discipline. You know what I mean? That's kind of interesting. So, how many years
It
total in the
was
Navy?
challenging. Nothing was easy. I assure you this.
Oh, I believe it. You know, both are challenging. Yeah. How many years total in the Navy?
So I got out in 2007.
Okay.
So I graduated from the Naval Academy in 2002.
Okay.
So I did my most of my 5 year commitment.
Okay. So you fulfilled your commitment, and then back into civilian life. So you're out of the Navy now. You're still a young guy. You got the econ, you got the engineering. You probably got a bunch of other skills we don't have time to get into now. What was next for you in your professional life?
Yeah. So what was next is I came back to the area that I was raised here in Northern Kentucky, Greater Cincinnati area with Procter and Gamble, and
Mm,
so I was lucky enough to come back with a great company like P&G, the largest consumer product goods company in the world,
mm,
that really has an incredible or provides a great opportunity to learn. So for me, coming out of the military, I don't know if I could have chosen a better path to come out into the civilian sector in an environment that in many ways was similar to the military. It was very regimented, and their leadership style and what they teach you around the consumer was just incredible. So um, yeah, I did that. I was there for a handful of years and worked on their baby care division throughout my time.
So this is like baby products. We're talking like diapers and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was having, we were, Kristen, my wife and I
Yeah.
had our first two children, and I was marketing baby diapers, which was pretty fun around the world.
Yeah.
A company like Procter just gives you a unique glimpse, not just in their knowledge, which I would argue is the best around the consumer,
Right.
but also around the world. There's few brands. I always joke. that translate all languages, and P&G holds many of them. Pampers happens to be their largest brand, and I had the great fortune of working on Pampers and
Wow.
some of their North American products as well in the baby category. But Pampers around, found myself in China and Russia and
Wow.
Japan, all over the world with Pampers.
Well, and you had a lot of credibility on that because babies are a big thing in your family. There's a lot of
It
babies, so
is, and
yeah.
when you're in that fun stage of life of growing your family, you're much more in tune with some of the benefits of a diaper. So it was perfect.
Hey, sometimes if you're delivering pizzas, you bring pizzas home at the end of the night to the family. For you, you probably brought home Pampers, right? I mean, it
I
was
did, and
yeah.
I was winning for sure in that regard. My one of my most happy moments in life was I had my 2-year-old daughter, my second child, Mia, was on pack of all Love's diapers in America. So
Wow.
we got her on pack, and I got her take her to Walmart and see every pack stacked up to the ceiling with her face on it,
Oh,
which
that's
was
next
really
level.
fun.
That's huge.
Yeah, that
Wow.
was
Oh
next
my God.
level for sure.
That's great. So P&G for what would you say, like around 5 years or so, or
Yeah,
about
I
okay.
think a little over that. I think I was there
Yeah.
6.5 years.
And then that is a huge company, known around the world, one of the great American companies. It's interesting you mentioned that the culture, was similar to that in the military in some respects. That would be a good place for somebody coming out of, many years of service in the military to at least, have the structure and the culture, that isn't that much different, right? That was probably a good landing place for you.
It really was. I feel like it couldn't have been better for me personally. There's no wrong decision when you're getting out. I mentor a lot of folks coming out of the military, and some jump right into the entrepreneurial world, which is great. Some go into big corporates. For me, I just felt like it was a perfect segue to allow me to grow and learn a lot from a great company. And they supported me uh, getting my MBA, which also was a
Oh,
great
that's great.
experience. So it was wonderful.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. Where and when did you meet your wife?
Well, this is fun. This is a fun story. So I met her on my wife, Kristen.
Yes.
She was from South Bend, Indiana. Large Notre Dame family. Her father taught at the university for
Wow.
40 years plus. And we met on spring break, if you can believe it,
Wow.
a spring break in Jamaica.
That's great.
There can't be a better story.
No.
Uh, we jokingly tell all of our kids we were down there doing a mission trip, but we weren't. I'm kidding. We were on break. Um,
You
but
were
I
on a
wish
mission. It was
we were
yeah,
on a mission. We never thought we would find each other.
yeah.
But yeah, we met there and have been together for 25 years,
Praise God.
and
Love it.
will be our 20th
Oh man, I love it. That's
anniversary.
awesome. And how many children do you have?
We have 4 children. I
Oh
have
man.
3 daughters and a son.
Oh man, that's so great. Well, beautiful story, and I'm glad it all worked out in Jamaica. You're right. That might not be the first place you expect to meet love of your
Never
life
know,
either.
right?
You never know. You never know. That's great. What does Kristen do, or how does she spend her time? I
Kristen
guess.
stays at home. She was
Cool.
trained as a teacher.
Okay. Cool.
So she taught second grade um, for years, and she stays at home now with our children.
All right. I love it. So you're at Procter and Gamble. You got Kristen starting your family. What prompted you to leave Procter and Gamble? What were you seeking, I guess?
Yeah, I felt it was time. I had a real entrepreneurial um, interest,
Yeah.
and Procter is incredible. But generally, you're working on really big brands, and you're fighting for a share point, and that's a great year, if you gain a share point. And
Mm,
I think there was just an environment that I was yearning for, maybe on a smaller brand, moving a little bit faster.
mm,
And I found myself in a technology company, so I was exposed. At Procter and Gamble with one of our partner companies that was based out in Silicon Valley. At the time, it was called coupons.com, and started working with them. It became familiar with what services they were providing and had the opportunity to kind of jump in um, and from the ground up and from an office here in the middle of the country. So it was really a fun experience. It extended way even beyond my wildest dreams. I never thought it would be as long as I was there, but I spent 8 years there. During that time, the company went public,
mm.
changed our name to Quotient Technology.
Hmm.
I had a unique experience of building out our largest office at the time here in Cincinnati and becoming the chief operating officer, chief strategy officer during that time as well. And just had a blast. And it was everything and more. It was a hyper growth tech company sitting in the middle of consumer products, good and retail. And it was just a blast. So to do that and have some presence in your hometown was a dream come true.
Gosh, man, that's great. And you always go back, and this was true in our first conversation too. Like, I mean, the hometown thing is massive for you, isn't it? Like, I mean, just will you drill down on that a little bit and talk to us about, what makes your region and your hometown so special to you, and why you feel such a strong connection to it?
Yeah, I've been given a lot. I,
Yeah,
always grew up with this. If you're given a lot, much is expected. And
yeah,
I don't think it stems any more than that, John, to be honest. I feel like the region's given me a lot, not just being raised here, but having the opportunity to raise my family here. And I do feel a great call to give back in whatever capacity I can. And so I'm excited to participate. If I left Quotient, I had the unique opportunity with my partners to um, found EGateway Capital
yeah. Here we go. Yeah,
over the past 4.5 years, and we're building a capital firm, but a lot of which we were excited to come together and do it in this region.
yeah.
While we're not geographically constrained on investing necessarily just to the region, we just have a lens that we think there is a lot of unique opportunity that sits right here in the middle of the country with not a ton of capital. So I was really excited after being on the road a lot, not spending a ton of time in the region in my prior life, to now have a firm that was grounded here, rooted here, and oriented around our local assets in many ways. So it's been a real joy to be on this journey with my partners over the last 4.5 years at eGateway to make a big regional impact, which we hope to do over the coming decade.
I love it. And eGateway Capital is on its way. I mean, anybody that hasn't, looked it up yet, I mean, you guys are just doing so many cool things, and we're going to get into that in a second. But just sticking on this geography piece for a moment,
Sure.
you're not in, kind of California, where a lot of the startups and a lot of the big tech companies, start up. You're not in New York, the capital of global finance, or even some of these, kind of. I guess places like Austin or Florida. You hear a lot about. You're in the center of the country. You're in Cincinnati Metro, Northern Kentucky. From a business standpoint, um, what are the pluses and minuses, if any, of building up this firm in your hometown, in the place that you love, as opposed to some of these, centers of gravity in other parts of the country that are, I guess the layperson a little bit better known for that.
Yeah, we see it as a big opportunity.
Yeah.
There's tremendous wealth in the middle of the country, as
Yeah.
you know, being from here, and
Yep.
great amounts of our U.S. business reside in the middle of the country.
Hmm.
So we know this, but yet not a ton, and actually only a fraction of capital is truly allocated from the middle of the country.
Right.
So most of that's happening on the coast, and that's often why there is so much innovation ecosystems that are residing on the coast, is just because that's where the capital is being allocated. And those two things generally go together. So we're excited to continue to mature our local ecosystem. There's been great folks that have come before us that have been investing and allocating capital, and we're excited to be part of it and continue to contribute to it and mature it. We're playing a little bit later stage venture, early stage growth capital um, in our initial funds that we have raised. But everything we're doing at eGateway has had a vision around building a great investment platform that can expand into different regions of into different areas of capital, but all around this thesis around what we call the digitization of the economy. And we use words like the future of commerce is going to look a lot different.
Mm,
And we think tech's going to play a big role in that. And there's a lot of companies that sit here in the middle of the country that, will utilize that tech. And so, in our first two fund structures, we've been investing behind that thesis. And we have right around $125 million raised that we've deployed, right around 60 to 70% of that into technology companies that are enabling that future of commerce to occur. So we think of those in a lot of supply chain tech and sales tech and marketing tech. Said differently, is how things are made, how they're marketed, how they're sold, and how they're delivered is how we really think about our thesis. And what's exciting about the region is that happens to align really naturally and historically to our assets here in the region. So we've already talked about Procter and Gamble being housed here. We've talked also Kroger, one of the biggest standalone grocers in the country, was founded and is headquartered out of Cincinnati. And then, our region also has a lot of geographic superiority around the movement of goods. And as a result, our airport has really become a cargo presence as one of the
mm.
fastest growing cargo airports in the country, at CVG, with the Amazon Mega Hub and DHL's North America Super Hub. And then 100 miles south of us in Louisville, you have UPS's air headquarters. So you have a lot of around our thesis, how things are made, marketed, sold, and delivered. A lot of reason around our historical natural assets here too. So we're excited not just to participate in the capital allocation, but do so with a thesis that connects to our kind of history as a region as well.
Wow, I love that. So, EGateway Capital, what are some of the companies you want to get in on specifically? I mean, you talked about the digitization of business and marketing and delivery and that kind of thing. Getting aside from a little bit what the companies do, what about the companies, attracts you on, kind of a different level? I mean, are there leadership elements? Are there cultural elements that you look for where you're like, this is a company we definitely want to get behind?
When you go on this, you write up when you start a firm, and then you get better every day,
Yeah.
as you really put, the muscle into motion. And we just continued from the beginning to where we are today, just place a lot of emphasis on people,
Mm,
on who we're investing behind more than the what. Because we just often see that that's the variable that matters most. And so to your whether that's a tangible or intangible, we view it as the top of our scorecard
mm,
is finding folks that we want to walk the journey
mm.
with and believe in, and challenged in the darkest of times. We're investing in growth capital, so it's never just upwards to the right. There's always a sine wave to get there. And so you have to really be comfortable in that decision first and foremost. But we're excited. We're in many ways just getting started, but also have gone beyond our infancy and kind of going into toddler stage. We have 16 portfolio companies, and we're excited. Everything we're doing too, I didn't mention, with my operator background, and my partner, Mike Fife, and some others on our team have carried more investment background. We've kind of created that ethos of bringing operating and investing together. And we think value creation is a big part of eGateway. And so when we partner with companies, we place a lot of emphasis on their desire for us to help and our desire to help them grow. And so we generally help with a lot with growth beyond a check. So that's different than a lot of investment firms. And we're excited to do so. I mean, we desire to be their first call.
Mm.
And to that, we have to live up to that commitment. And so we work really hard every day to live up to be their first call when it comes to growth, especially. So that could be organic growth, walking them into big customers, or inorganic growth, helping them really understand how to grow, buying or acquiring other companies. So that's kind of our engagement model, and it's fun because it gives us a unique opportunity to work with the company in a special way.
Oh, that's great. And Chad, you've been around startups and growth companies for a while now. Are there any characteristics that you look for in a company that has a great chance at making it big? Like what are some of the signals that you look for to spot a winner?
Yeah, it's a hard question because, all these really talented folks have generally sometimes different superpowers that they exhibit. Um, they're remarkable in their own way. But there's definitely common themes. We spend a lot speaking about virtues
Hmm.
in our firm and how we judge ourselves. We think about abundance, we think about gratitude a lot. These are some of our core values and service and grit. And when we look, we try to look through that lens of having the prudence to make really good decisions matters um, for leaders. I think also fortitude, because as I suggested, it's never an easy path. It's really hard, and I think we want to find leaders that have been tested,
Hmm.
often on the have done this before. Is always a great indicator of or can be a great indicator of future success, that they have the intestinal fortitude, as we like to say, to navigate the storms that lie ahead. But there's really a lot, John. I would be remiss to suggest there's just a couple. It's really a combination of all these different skills to make a conclusion, and also big thinking, big vision. There most of the companies in tech have a huge vision to change the world or to change the area that they're playing in. And so to do that, you have to not just have the vision, but you have to enroll others and lead in pursuit of that vision. So we could talk for hours about that, but the underwriting all goes back to the person, and then naturally the great products that they've been building.
I love it. So we're about 5 years into eGateway Capital, right?
We're not quite, but yeah, we're about 4.5 years in.
Okay. What's the next 5 years look like? What are your goals?
Yeah, so I think we always went out to build a platform. So I can see us expanding that platform maybe into different stages of capital downstream, uh, maybe a more regional opportunities, looking outside tech naturally with our fund strategy being focused on tech. We see continuing that strategy into Fund 3 and 4, beyond Fund 1 and 2, which is currently being put to use. So yeah, just continuing to build our muscle around what we started the firm around, is to build, around our thesis, around the digitization of the economy, with the principles that we've committed ourselves to constantly think abundantly, to work harder than anyone else, and to just be so thankful for everything we've been given, and engage and really build an engagement model with all of our partner companies that exhibit that. And I would be really happy in the next 5 years if we continue to just expand upon all that.
I gotta tell you, I really sense that you believe very strongly what you're saying. This culture you've laid out, just the way you kind of calmly describe it. I mean, and this is just in your DNA. It's who you are. It's what you believe in. And you found other leaders that share that. I'm curious, as your company grows, as you hire more people and bring more people in, and more vendors, into your immediate orbit, how do you maintain that culture, which is clearly so important to you? How do you identify it in newcomers to your company? How do you reinforce it and stoke it and maintain it as time passes? I just love to hear how you have this special culture. How do you maintain it as time goes along?
Yeah, and just to be clear, eGateway has never been about me. I mean, this has always been a partnership from the beginning. I
That's great.
feel the greatest blessing of my professional career, hands down,
Hmm,
has been to come together with this team that we founded eGateway with.
hmm,
Um, it's been unbelievable to walk on a journey together, of folks that share common values and common aspirations of what we hope to build. So I just want to underline that. And
yeah.
to your question, I think it's just extending that team of how we came together in the first part, and taking some of those qualities and learning. We were a team that had never worked together, so you can count on there's been a ton of learning, and just expanding those out. I think culture's really important. Um, I think to maintain it, it's an active, it has to be an active muscle. There's nothing static about culture. It's changing every day in the small decisions you're making. And it can get really out of whack quickly. And then to stay on course requires just an immense amount of intentionality. And so I think that's the answer to your question is I don't think we will need to expand the firm. We'll never be a big company per se from a people perspective. But as we continue to, um, come together with folks that could be on our platform, I think it's always very purposeful and always intentional.
And as you consider going beyond tech, what are some other sectors of the economy that you're intrigued by and excited by?
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited around this whole what we're calling the corridor of commerce, which is, it extends this middle of the country, what I was alluding to earlier. We think there's so much going on in the middle of the country. We happen to think that the 100 miles west to Indianapolis or 100 miles north to Columbus or the 100 miles south to Louisville that we sit here in Cincinnati is the hub of that corridor in many capacities. We just think the geographic superiority around the movement of goods provides unique advantage for the future economy, where the movement of goods will play a higher role. And so you're going to find anyone from EGateway really excited to be located here for that reason. We think we can continue to help the region seize the opportunity that it's sitting on around its unique assets that I mentioned earlier in the call. We're very blessed with incredible companies here. And then the geographic nature of our region becoming more important in this future economy and this future of commerce, we think all is kind of laying the groundwork for a bright future. And so we think it's all there. Surely there are parts missing, one of which is financial capital to seize it. And we're excited to play some small role, but also encourage more of that financial capital just to be in the know around some of what we get to see so closely. And so we're excited about that for sure.
I wonder how much it plays into it. Here on the Faith and Finance Forum, we're very interested in housing costs and cost of living issues in our country, and yeah, I'm just wondering how big of a factor it is, this dynamic that, as much of the country becomes inaccessible for anyone but the super wealthy, I mean, housing and living on either coast, especially in the Northeast or on the West Coast, really the entire West Coast, as it becomes inaccessible for many people and even just for young workers, high potential workers, is that a dynamic that gives your region an advantage, do you think, that it's a little bit more accessible for people that are building their lives and their careers?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think the middle of the country, that's definitely a structural advantage.
Hmm.
I wouldn't just say the cost of living, but just the living quotient.
Yeah.
It's a great place to live, and I
Amen.
think um, cost plays a role in that, but there's a lot of other variables too. So, yeah, for sure, I think it plays a role from an attraction perspective, and also for scaling companies. It's a really when you're scaling on the coast, you hit an inflection point of serving your customers where it does make sense to have a second location or a second headquarters. And the Midwest is a great place. The middle of the country is a great place to do that. So, we're continuing to tell that narrative as well.
Yeah, really. A few years ago, I encountered an article in the Wall Street Journal or something that said that something like two-thirds of the country's population is accessible within a 10-hour drive of Cincinnati. I mean, you probably heard
Right.
metrics like this. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So that's why all the math, we have a lot of supply chain companies here. We have a lot
Yeah.
of companies I referenced.
Yeah, and the CVG piece, I know you're on the airport board and the airport's near and dear to your heart. Uh CVG is growing big time with the like the UPS and the FedEx and the shipping, right? I mean, do I have that right? I mean, what's the 90-second summary on CVG? Where's it at right
Yeah,
now?
CBG, I referenced it earlier.
Yeah.
It's one of the fastest growing cargo airports in the country,
Mm.
largely because we have been fortunate to have DHL's North American hub located here for some time. And then around 5 to 6 years ago, Amazon um, decided to put their mega hub here as well. So we're the only airport in the country with two major cargo hubs. So that in and of itself is some
Wow.
designation that's exciting. So we're just getting started. We're earlier on this journey, but we're excited to continue to build upon that progress as a leading cargo airport in the country.
And what about on the passenger side? Because I remember years ago when CVG was a Delta hub, or maybe it was Northwest Airlines hub or something. I remember I used to always get invitations to fly in there. That has changed a little bit, right? Has the passenger stuff been kind of steady, plateauing? Where's that at?
No, we continue to grow our
Okay.
originating traffic. Just like it's really not just a Cincinnati story. When we were kids, there were 10 plus legacy carriers. Now there's less, right? There's
Yeah.
very few.
Yeah.
And so it was really the dehubbing of the nation. A lot of cities lost their hub, and Cincinnati was part of that as Delta dehub. But Delta still has a great presence here, along with us enabling us to bring in a lot of more flight options for our local constituents to reach cities on a direct flight. So we continue to build that. That's a big part of our mission, is to serve our growth and to serve our region.
No, that's great. And Chad, I know you're very committed to your Catholic faith. You and I met at a Catholic Leadership Institute event, and I know you're active in CLI, which is great. We love CLI here on the Faith and Finance Forum. You were also telling me about the prayer breakfast in Cincinnati, which is tomorrow. What's the vision behind the prayer breakfast? What are you trying to do with that?
Yeah, we're excited to launch it. Again, we put together an advisory board of local business leaders and just launch a low-hanging fruit, nothing to belong to per se, but from September to May, we're going to have on the first Thursday of every month Greater Cincinnati Catholic Executive Prayer Breakfast that we're going to invite, our communities, our Catholic leaders to. Really, the objective is pretty straightforward, John. We want to bring together this group to pray for our region, for our nation, for our businesses. We want to have the opportunity to add some faith formation through speakers that we'll bring in. We have the Archbishop, the brand new Archbishop of Cincinnati, kicking us off tomorrow. And then we also want to talk about the third objective, faith and business. We've
Hmm.
been the steward here of a lot of faith-filled leadership in great companies, and how faith intersects with business and how it can in harmony. And really, we want to continue that with intention. And we want to do that by telling those stories and make sure that the next generation knows all the great success that's come out of that relationship between faith and business in our own hometown. And then lastly, we really want to do it as an awareness and action. We want this group to be action oriented, to get involved in the community and through great apostolates that are happening throughout the community. So we'll continue to showcase, works of schools, universities, or nonprofits in the region.
I love
So
it.
we'll kick it off tomorrow.
Hmm.
We're excited to kind of get the inaugural event underway. And our hope really is to create something lasting and sustaining.
Oh, I think it's going to work out great. And I'm just curious for those in the audience that are interested in maybe doing their own prayer breakfast. Could you talk a little bit just about like the format of the event, how it's going to flow?
Yeah, I'd love send them my way. I would love to
Yeah.
talk about spreading this to different cities, but it's really simple. We're hosting it at a club in downtown Cincinnati. It's going to be an hour long. We're going to open up with a prayer. We're going to showcase the Archbishop in a short speaking of 20-25 minute talk. And then we'll do a commercial around a local apostolate for 5 minutes. So very simple of who we are and what we do and how to get involved. And then we'll end in a prayer. So it's a pretty bang, bang, bang event.
I love it.
My military roots, I like to start on time and end on time, if
Yeah.
not early. And so we'll keep that true.
No, there's something to be said for it, and I got to tell you, I've always been a big part of Legatus, as those that know me well can attest to, and I love the Legatus format because you get together at around like 6 o'clock in the evening, ideally with your spouse, and you do your rosary, mass, real quick cocktail reception, and you sit down and dinner with a speaker. But I don't know if you feel the same way, Chad. But as I get a little bit older, I'm leaning more towards like morning events now. You know what I mean? Like I mean, in the evening, man, around like 9:30, I like to be kind of
Art,
like,
right? You're
yeah,
competing. There's
I
a
like to
lot to
be
compete against. So
a
we
lot
want
to
to make
compete against, and I just want to get to sleep. You know, so.
easy to roll in, easy to roll out. So that's the goal.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think it's gonna work great, and it's great. The Archbishop has been so supportive. I'm curious of the 75 to 100 guests that you anticipate tomorrow. How many were kind of like from your immediate orbit? How many were kind of like fresh new names that just kind of popped out? Like, what's the
A
breakdown?
lot.
Yeah,
We'll see how it goes. But the receptivity has been really overwhelmingly positive, and um, us as an advisory board doing this for the first time, we're super pleased. So excited to report back to you how it goes, but I'm confident it will be a success.
that's really cool. Any other service you provided the church that you want to showcase? Anything you want to talk about? Because I know there's so much there, but
No, I think
okay,
I think we captured it, John. It's just such a pleasure to speak with you
yeah.
and be part of all the great work you guys are doing in the Faith and Finance Forum. And it was fun to spend some time together.
Yeah, likewise. EGateway Capital, where can we learn more?
Yeah, go to our website, reach out. We would love, we built a community of folks that share our values, who want to participate and help with our companies. We really believe in an abundant form of capital, that there's a lot to do in a different, in a very transactional business. And we're excited to meet folks that believe the same thing. And yeah, we'd love to hear from your audience.
I love it. And do you have a Bengals prediction for the season?
Dicey.
Dicey. Good word for it.
Yeah, the defense. I'm not sure we spent enough time and effort on the defense, so we shall see. It's going to be some high scoring games.
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day. So,
That's right.
Chad, such a delight to be with you. We've been on with Chad Summe from eGateway Capital. This has been the Faith and Finance Forum, hosted by the Catholic Finance Association and generously sponsored by Aquinas Wealth Advisors. We'll see you around campus. God bless.